was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from the
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
It's another beautiful day right here, and it's good to have you. It is Sunday, and so good to join us this beautiful day. Happy Sunday to all our viewers out there. I'm so excited to be here this morning. As a matter of fact, we are happy because God kept us alive. A lot of people wanted to see this day, but they couldn't see it. But for you and I, God made it happen. And that's the reason you need to know that God so loved you. Allah has preserved every one of us, and we are so grateful. How is the fasting going for the Muslim faithful? I believe it's been a very fantastic one, and we wish you all the best as you continue with the fast. Then for every Christian who is in church and who is on their way to church, watching us on the internet or anywhere right now, I want to say happy Sunday to all of you. But as a matter of fact, so many things are happening in the country. The Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, that's ALGON, has commended the progress made in implementing the Supreme Court's judgment that granted financial autonomy to local governments in Nigeria. But then, the chairman of ALGON's Board of Trustee, Denayo Tegbero, made an address, and he was speaking with journalists after a closed door meeting with its members, and so much was said. But then some people were really asking questions. Why the delay? It took a lot of time, for all of that to happen. What's the problem? Why did it happen so? And you know how people think, and ALGON need to rise to the occasion. That's the Association of Local Government Employees. And of course, local governments of Nigeria, I beg your pardon. That is ALGON, Association of Local Governments, that's it, of Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, the local government autonomy, a lot of people are excited about it, but the implementation is what they are saying, is what they are talking about right now. But they are so glad that at least there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel gradually. But then that's, by the way, they're moving away from there. You can see that in a bid to actually cushion the effect of the hardship that Nigerians are going through right now. People from different places, governors, House of Rep members, and everyone is doing one thing or the other to make sure things go on very well. The Imo State government, on their own part, distributed presidential palliative to Christians and Muslim faithfuls across the southeast and south region. And that's what we're talking about. Because if these things keep happening, remember, there was a promise about palliative when this administration came up because of the removal of subsidy. And it's so good that Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, who represented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the distribution at Ndubisi Kano Square, that happened in Owerri, that is Imo State. He urged both Christians and Muslims communities to continue to pray for the country. That's where we owe the country. It will amaze you that there was a time, I think I boarded a commercial vehicle because sometimes if you really want to hear what Nigerians are saying, you get to public places. That's what we do, those of us in the media space. And people were saying so many things. And someone said, why should I pray for Nigeria? And I told him, you need to pray for Nigeria because it is your country. You need to pray for our leaders. And sometimes the leaders may not be doing what you really want, what is expected of them. But that doesn't stop us from praying for them because they need to get it right. All right? They need to get it right, do the right thing. And of course, Nigeria will become a very good place. And I don't know, let's talk about Benue State a little bit. Benue State has been in the news for the wrong reason a couple of times. Number one, it was the removal of the chief judge of the state by the assembly members. And of course, that raised a lot of dust in Benue State. Then the communal crisis, herdsmen taking lives, you know, and Benue State used to be the food basket of the nation, but all of a sudden it wasn't so anymore because of the kind of problems that was in that state. But then I think something happened within the week. The Benue State Executive Council passed a vote of confidence on the governor of Benue State, His Excellency Hyacinth Alia, and his administration. Why? Someone may be asking, what kind of vote of confidence? And they said it is in its effort in taming insecurity and his leadership quality. They said, we looked at that and what do we have to do? We need to, by all means, pass a vote of confidence on him. We trust you, we believe in you, we know what you're doing. It's good. But then the question is, what is the state of insecurity? What's the security situation in Benue State right now? For those of you watching from Benue State right now, let us know what the state is like right now as it has to do with insecurity, of moving from Wewes to Boko to Vandekia to Kastinala to Ogbadibo down to Agatu, you know, a few other local government areas, even the whole of Benue State. Well, I think it's so good. What I think is that this is more like a booster for the governor to do more. All right, he may be doing, but then I think this call for more, because to whom more is given, more is expected. All right, I'm going to bring you so much today, so much. When I say so much, it means news and current affairs, because we will be looking at the national dailies and doing analysis of what the papers are saying this morning. But then the Nigerian Governors Forum says it cannot take any position on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state of emergency in Rivers State. A lot of reactions coming from different quarters. I even interviewed someone, a youth leader from Rivers State, and everyone is even surprised about the state of emergency. But the Governors Forum said they cannot take any position right now as far as the state of emergency declared in Rivers State is concerned, and they emphasize its role as a platform for promoting unified policy and collaborating for sustainable social-economic growth. And of course, that's what it means. That's for them anyway. And in a statement that came from the Nigerian Governors Forum's Director General, you know, the Director General, that's Abdul Latif Shitu, he said something in his own statement. If you follow what has been happening, he said taking position on divisive partisan issues, regardless of how it's phrased, reflects a poor understanding of history. Rivers State has experienced political instability for nearly 2 years. Can you imagine? With former Governor Nyesom Wike and his successor, everyone knows now that the problem in Rivers State is all about Nyesom Wike and Siminalayi Fubara. It's all about power. I think it's all about power. But then the people of Rivers State are so important. They are very, very important. So whatever happens in Rivers State, even though the Governors Forum said, well, the state of emergency for now, they are not taking any stand. Whatever happens, it has happened. And of course, let's just keep our fingers crossed if it is going to last the 6 months that is being stated, or it's going to be reduced. Then something happened over the weekend, because over the week a lot of people are reacting to the issue of Rivers State, the state of emergency, and including the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, also stated that suspending elected officials in Rivers State could tarnish the country's image. He also made the remark at the Haske Stomari Foundation colloquium in Abuja. And of course, the former president, Jonathan, and his pedigree, after he said, well, my ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian, and he stepped down in 2015. That went a long way. Jonathan, while sharing his thought about the political turmoil in Rivers State, said, though it is not the norm for former presidents to comment on issues in the polity, well, so as not to hit all the polity, that's what he said. I'm telling you what Jonathan said, all right? I'm trying to quote him, and he insisted that the image of the country and how much investment the country attracts is heavily dependent on the action of the executive, legislature, and judiciary of the country, which is very important. Well, these are some of the developing stories over the week. I'm just trying to bring you to speed with some developing stories over the week before we go into the national dailies and see the news and current affairs for today. What is current? What's happening in Nigeria? You need to know, and you deserve to know. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and many thanks for joining us on Global Morning today. Let's go on a quick break. After the break, we'll return and we'll look at the pages of the national dailies, the newspapers for the day, and we'll bring to you the review of what the papers are saying. Stay with us, and once again, happy Sunday. Welcome back from that quick break. It's actually a quick break because I needed to return to bring you to speed with the headlines for the day. And we're getting started with the Sunday Tribune. I was just discussing with my colleague before I came up on air, looking at the story, one of the stories on this national daily, and that's on the Sunday Tribune. And the Sunday Tribune has this story above the nameplate, which says many northern Muslims who supported Muslim tickets are now regretting it. This is coming from Dalong, the former Minister of Sport. Okay, then, I don't know. Someone said something, I don't know how true it is, that a lot of people, Nigerians during politics, our politics, the way we do our politics in this country, I have come to realize that the way we do politics, we're being overtaken by events. It's either we're putting forward our political differences, ethnicity, religion, tribe, and tongue at the expense of credibility, trust. Someone may be available, but the person may not be credible. That's what it is. So if we want to go into 2027, we should go for people who are credible and not just because of region. I could remember in my compound where I stay, a lot of people were in support of a particular candidate because they felt the person is from their side, and there was this clamor. It is, but later on, I began to watch, and everyone just went back to their shell, and what they were saying is different from what they were professing during the election. So I think democracy should grow to the extent that we cast our votes, the electorates cast their vote based on credibility, not because of tribe, not because of region, not because of religion, not because of ethnicity. That wouldn't help us if we want to practice democracy. Sometimes Nigerians can be funny sometimes. Why regretting? Why? But then I could remember in 2015, all right, when people were shouting, say Baba, say Baba, say Baba. I was like, what does that mean? It was later I discovered what say Baba means. Then it came to a point that if you say Baba, some people will start insulting you, and I was like, hey, why that? So that prompted me into doing some form of research to really know why that phrase came up, and I discovered that Nigerians sometimes some part of this country, some set of people are so gullible, they are being used by these politicians, and when they get up there they don't even get to remember them anymore. So 2027 is somewhere around the corner. Vote credibility, vote the person and not the party. Vote the person, and not because the person is from your clan, from your ethnic group, not because the person belongs to your religion. All right, so let's just do this thing so that we don't come back regretting. All right, as a matter of fact, so many things are happening, and the big story said Akpabio reps deny receiving money to back a state of emergency. That is coming from the Senate President. Akpabio is the one saying that we didn't collect money from anyone to support state of emergency. A lot of people, this is Nigeria, a lot of suspicion. People can suspect a whole lot. People can suspect so many things, but the truth is this: collecting money to perform your duty as a senator, I don't think that is a good one. And it's so good that the Senate President is coming to speak. Everything that was being said could be an assumption. The people may be assuming, but then the President even declared a state of emergency without, I don't know if it was with the consent of the senators, the National Assembly or not, but then the National Assembly later threw their wings behind the president for the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State, and that has come, and of course the sole administrator has resumed duty, and he kicked the ground running almost immediately. Let's see how long this state of emergency is going to go. I think if peace returned, because that state of emergency was actually declared because there was suspicion. Okay, there was a suspicion. People were suspecting that there could be violence because of this kind of statements that was coming from some big names from the South River State. All right, let's move away from there and go to the next paper. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return, and it will be time for us to look at the other papers. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Let's quickly look at the next paper, which is the Blueprint Weekend. Above the nameplate, I have this headline, which says, Rivers Emergency Rule Prevented Full-Blown Crisis. Aliwa think tank is the one saying that. Like I was saying, there was a rumor of violence, crisis, because the people were dissatisfied with what was happening in Rivers State, and the president had to declare a state of emergency. One writer to our story, and the writer says Tinubu saved the state from anarchy, bloodshed, economic sabotage. Then to the next story. The kicker to this story says ECOWAS war against terrorism. That's the big story on the Blueprint Weekend, and it says how standby force will address threat in region. Army chief is the one saying that. There are some riders to that story, and the first rider says terrorism incidents increased from 1 to 4% from 2007 to 2023. General Gyami is the one saying that. ECOWAS most active regional body in the world. Diplomat says ECOWAS is the most active regional body in the world. All right, this one says next up is creating common currency, markets to leverage member states' cooperative and advantage. More still coming from the Blueprint newspaper. This one says Inikpi is the title, the sacrificial lamb that saved Igala Kingdom. Akwa Ibom police bust illegal maternity home, rescue pregnant women and infants. Bulls return as equity market gains 65 billion naira. Taraba women holds 31% cabinet position. Commissioner is the one saying that. Then from the world of sports, Super Eagles disarm Amavubis to rekindle 2026 World Cup hopes. Details on page 32. And of course, this one says Rivers sole administrator urges peace, warns on violence. Page 27 is where you get that. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Blueprint newspaper. But one of the stories that caught my fancy is the issue of how standby force will address threats in region. That's about ECOWAS war against terrorism. And one of it says ECOWAS is the most active regional body in the whole world. This is coming from Diplomat. And in case you don't know, ECOWAS is the economic community of West African states. All the West African states come together and they form what we call ECOWAS. And our own president is the chairman of ECOWAS. And ECOWAS has not been doing badly, even though Niger left and some other countries, because of certain things they were doing. Mali, left because their actions was no longer in line with what is expected of ECOWAS countries, and they left. But then, one very good thing that happened is the fact that they were not stripped of their benefits. All right, let's get to Sunday Vanguard and see what the Sunday Vanguard is saying this morning. A coalition against president. A PDP gives condition to back Atiku, Peter Obi, El-Rufai and others. PDP gives condition to back Atiku, Peter Obi, El-Rufai and others. Tinubu Wike, that's the kicker, and that's the big story. The 2027 problems that caused Fubara's suspension. The 2027 problems that caused Fubara's suspension. Some riders to that story, and this one says, according to source, suspended governor tired of FCT minister's troubles, wanted to resign. Relocate to another south state. Wow. No country can succeed under dictatorial regime. This is coming from Jonathan, the former Jonathan. If you want to know which of the Jonathan, you can pick a copy of the Sunday Vanguard. We can't speak, our hands are tied. Governors Forum is the one saying that. All right, reasons ex-president didn't sack governors during his emergency rule in 3 states. Adoke is the one saying that. Then tomorrow, stories on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Why Oni Olowu are at war. Oni and Olowu at war. 33 trillion naira livestock sector. Jaga's strategy to end farmers' headers killing. Then this one says Kano is the kicker. Governor Yusuf offers automatic employment to 54 foreign scholarship students. All right, details on page 4. George Foreman, who fought Muhammad Ali in the rumble in the jungle, is dead at 76. Details read on page 4. And that's the headlines. That's the size of the headlines from the Sunday Vanguard. From the Sunday Vanguard, now let's get to the next paper, which is the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper this morning, we have this headline: Coalition takes face hurdle as Atiku's bid, zoning threatening negotiation. That's the big story. I'm starting from the big story. Coalition tussle to coalition talks face hurdles as Atiku's bid, zoning threatening negotiation. Some writers to that story, and one of the writers says Obi Amechi's camp wants South to complete 8 years. NNPP and PDP seek open presidential ticket. It is not just to form coalition, but how are these people going to form this coalition when there is different opinions, different ideologies, different people coming from different parties with different ideologies for different reasons? What is the sole reason for this coalition? You can see already that there is already disagreement before the coalition even stand on its 2 legs. Well, let's see what will happen. Let's see what will happen at the end of the day. More stories still coming from the Punch newspaper this morning. That's the big story. And above the nameplate now, presidency faults Jonathan Soyinka for condemning Fubara, lawmakers suspension. Jonathan and of course Soyinka have been faulted by the presidency for condemning Fubara and lawmakers suspension. While traditional institutions have become a mockery, Olota of Ota, Oba Adeyemi Obalenge is the one saying that. Then more stories. This one says Atiku Obi El-Rufai's coalition cannot defeat APC in 2027. Shekarau is the one saying that. Atiku Obi El-Rufai's coalition cannot defeat APC in 2027. All right, details on page 5. Free CS, loot, UCH orders delay implementation of 5 months after. 5 months after, no implementation. Ashake takes over ailing father's treatment. Ashake takes over ailing father's treatment. This one says, I'm pained my son was killed while trying to pick ball. Father of teenager allegedly shot by landlord. Oh my God. That's bad. Living in darkness. Lagos community where Nigerians cross border to charge phone, fetch water. Wow, this is sarcastic. All right, well, Lagos community where Nigeria cross border to charge phones and fetch water. Which community is that? Just pick a copy of the Punch newspaper and know the community. SDP leaders under pressure as defectors scramble for top seats. All right, that's it. What were you expecting? Do you think they will just come and sit down? They won't come and sit down. And that's why I'll keep saying anyone defecting from a particular party. Let me say this. People defecting from one party to the other have their reasons why they are defecting. It is either something is not going well for them in that party, it's either they are not getting positions, it's either they are disgruntled, it's either they can't find their ways, it's either they couldn't bend the rules to suit their purpose. Then you hear of defecting. Somebody like that who is going into another party. All right, let me ask, who is among those trying to form this coalition that has not been in another party before? Is it El-Rufai? He just left APC. Is it Atiku? Is it Peter Obi? I don't know. Everyone has left one party for one reason or the other. But then let's see what will happen, because already there is a form of agitation. It has to be from our side. It has to be open, you know. But then let's see what will happen. But the bottom line is that at the end of the day, APC should be given a run for their money. That's what we're saying. All right. It should not just be a free flow for the All Progressive Congress. Okay, our time is fast spent. Let's look at these from the Nation's newspaper now. The Nation Sunday. Why Governors Forum is silent on Rivers emergency by DG. They say their hands are tied. To write us to that story, Tinubu not overbearing. All right, Tinubu not overbearing. All right, Tinubu not overbearing. Acted in national interest. This one is coming from Presidency. Then the second writer says, House of Reps says, bribery allegation is a pure fiction. Okay, Akpabio spoke this morning in one of the papers. PDP crisis, victim of proxy war against Wike, says Anyanwu. Then one writer to that story insists tenure ends December 9, 2025. Then local government autonomy. States resist push to open CBN accounts. States resist the push to open CBN account. You can't force me to open an account, says finance commissioners and chairs. All right, you can't force me to open an account. Over 100,000 displaced in Osun communal clash. 2 billion naira property destroyed. Then one writer to that story, Adeleke imposes 24-hour curfew, summons security chiefs. This one says, Bianca, how I became homeless after participating in MBGN pageant. That's coming from Bianca. And Natasha, balance your stories of mockery, urges BBC and others. Balance your stories about Natasha or mockery, urges BBC and others. And that's the size of the headlines from the Nation Sunday this morning. as we move to the next paper. What is the next paper? Which is the next paper? The Guardian newspaper, of course. And on the Guardian this morning, I have this one above the nameplate. Ledu resilient path towards sustainable growth and 1 trillion naira economy. Then this one says assessing El-Rufai's revisionist politics and Tinubu's re-election chances in 2027. All right, is it all about Tinubu and El-Rufai or all about Nigerians? Okay, well, that should be done for those who care. Outputs of research led stories over and lean harvest. All right, that's on the Vanguard newspaper, and that happens to be the big story. Then this one says discordant tunes in rivers as residents await administrators' plan to restore peace. Details read on page 2. Kanu apologizes to court as trial resumes, pleads not guilty to fresh charges. 1 feared dead, 30 injured, as Osun communities renew hostility again. All right, behold Nigeria's first LPG extraction plant, gas to power project. All right, that's still on the Guardian newspaper. Those are the stories from the Guardian newspaper this morning as we move to the next paper, which is the Weekend Trust. What trust do we have this weekend? Let's quickly look at the Weekend Trust. And just below the nameplate, ex-councillor killed, houses razed in Osun communal clash worsen. Details read on page 21. This communal clash we're not talking about the economy anymore. We're not talking about herders and farmers, but these are people in the same community fighting each other. I don't know what should ever result to that, because I don't think it's a good one at all for you to fight yourselves. Okay, communal clashes. Is it land border issues? What's the problem? What is it that the governor of the state cannot settle, that the local government council chairman cannot settle? Well, whatever it is, it's not good for lives to be lost in situations like this when we have so much facing us and hunger in the land. We break our fast with handouts. Kano family, all right? PDP secretary, crisis deepen after Supreme Court ruling. That's the PDP. I was even asking someone some days back, action of the People's Democratic Party is going to be part of the coalition, the Atikus faction, of course. The G12, the Wike faction, I've not heard anything much from them. I think Governor Wike is even busy with his ministerial assignment right now. Well, let's see how all of that is going to end. We're still keeping our fingers crossed. Okay. This one says the big story now, 64 years after. Clean water still a mirage for Nigerians. 64 years after, there are places in Nigeria that if you go, you can't get clean water. No pipe-borne water, no boreholes. This is a basic social amenity that everyone needs. We need water to survive. But how many of the communities have water, all right? Even to buy. Sometimes you don't even get, even to buy. And that's so pathetic. That's not something very good. All right. This one says the not so quiet lives of Nigerians' past leaders. And you see the picture of former presidents here. You see Gowon, you see Babangida, you see Jonathan, you see Olusegun Obasanjo, you see Abdulsalami Abubakar, and you see Muhammadu Buhari. These are past presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The not so quiet lives of Nigerian past leaders. That's it on the Weekend Trust this morning. Moving from the Weekend Trust, let's get to the Sunday Independent. On the Sunday Independent this morning, I have this one. PWD's aspirants in Benue denied ticket by political party over status. Wow, this is bad. People with disabilities aspirants in Benue denied ticket by political parties over status. Well, I think they also have the right to vote and be voted for, even though they are people with disabilities. They need to vote and be voted for. If they can vote, they should also be voted for. They should have the right, because I've seen a lot of them vote in the past. But then if a particular party is denying them ticket because of their status, then it's not a good one. I don't think the federal government will be quiet over that. I don't think the civil society organizations would want to take that. I don't think the non-governmental organizations will want to take a no for an answer, as it has to do with discrimination. If institution doesn't allow discrimination, as a matter of fact, equality before the law. Imo looks forward an Owerri zone governor in 2027. Adekwero is the one saying that pro-chancellor appointment. Beware of banana peel. Critics warn Bishop Kuka. And of course, some writers to that story remind him of his role as nation's conscience. Urge him to be careful not to be silenced. All right. That is a pro-chancellor appointment. If you take that appointment, remember, you may become silent. He's one of the very vocal religious leaders that we have in this country. Emergency rule in Rivers, dent on Nigeria's image. That's coming from Goodluck Jonathan. Some writers to that story canvasses government that admits diversity and equity. Then the second writer says more activists, lawyers join opposition to emergency rule. All right, more stories still coming. 3 Ghanaian candidates emerge winners of 2024 WAEC International Excellence Award. A court begins hearing on DSS 5 billion naira lawsuit against Serap. Okay. Then this one says more defections, that is 2027 confrontations. More defections, realignments expected as Atiku leads opposition against Tinubu. Right, those are the headlines from the Sunday Independent. Moving away from there, let's quickly look at the next paper for this morning. As a matter of fact, time may fail us to take all the other papers, but then let's just look at some of the big stories from the stories that we've taken so far. The Sunday Vanguard said Tinubu and Wike. The Sunday Vanguard, it said the 2027 problems that caused Fubara's suspension, meaning Fubara's suspension is somehow linked to 2027. And some persons are saying it's because of Godfatherism. I trust Nigerians. A lot of videos coming out, people are digging videos of the former governor of Rivers State, where he was talking about Godfatherism, where he was talking about people encroaching or maybe throwing their neck into the affairs of the state governance of states. And he was talking about bad leadership, and the videos are coming out from different angles. But then, I don't know, maybe some things may have changed about the FCT minister, right? Because it is still being alleged that he has hand. But as it is, the last time I could remember, he said, if Fubara is being impeached, nothing will happen. All right, and the youths, and even as I read a video that was making round on social media, said so many things about some women that were protesting and the role of the FCT minister, and of course the security operatives. All of this could degenerate into something else, and it's part of the reason why the state of emergency was declared in Rivers State. But some persons are saying in the past, state of emergency has been declared in state without suspending the governor of the states, and people came out to name the states. But it is different with this administration, and even the governors forum, who are supposed to speak in defense of one of their own, have said, well, our hands are tied, we can't say anything right now. They are so quiet about it. The past president Jonathan said, well, for me, the state of emergency and the suspension of Fubara is not the best. But then he said he can't say much as a past president in another person's administration. So all of this put together, you will know that the president has taken the decision. And some persons are saying this is the best decision that has been taken, or else there would have been anarchy, there would have been, people would have taken laws into their hands, there might have been crisis in Rivers State, and you know how vulnerable Rivers State is to crisis. Remember the militants, remember what happened, how they surrendered their arms, how that situation there was calm, or else the way Boko Haram is right now, that's how the militants may be operating, if not that they were tamed, if not that there was discussion, a roundtable discussion, and everything was settled. But then, whatever we do right now should be within the confine, you know, within the space that it will not escalate or get out to resort to the resurgence of maybe military or any other thing that will bring crisis to the state. And that's part of the reason why there is a sole administrator right there, a retired security operative that he is. He was retired already. He was in service. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, so much happening from the polity. The polity is so hot. But then, don't forget to pray for Nigeria today. As you go to the mosque, don't forget to pray for Nigeria. As you go to church, today is Sunday, don't forget to pray for Nigeria. And Nigeria is the only country that we have right now. This is going to be the size of Global Morning for this beautiful Sunday. We'll come on your way again for another edition of Global Morning, and that's going to be at 7 a.m. tomorrow, being the first working day of the week. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning today. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.